What's going on, guys? Spark here, and we're back with the final deck construction, Mindstorms. So, Mindstorms is burn, it's a burn draw, type deck. It's a lot of instants and sorceries. It's very the blue-red feel. So, let's start off with Mana Leak. Mana Leak. It's a good card. You probably want to play it. Razorfin Hunter is a good way to deal with the aggressive decks that are a lot faster than you, and a good way to just help your burn spells kill some of the creatures that they normally can't. You'll see in a lot of the videos that, or you have seen in a lot of the videos that, like, I use these guys just as extra burn spells all the time. There's only 2 of them in there. It doesn't hurt. Reverberate is absolutely amazing. It's great. It makes all your other spells better, and double casting spells is always good, especially in a deck that's themed around casting spells. So Thunderstrike is a really good card if you want to play it less burn, more combat tricks. I prefer the burn feel because I feel like the burn's better than trying to say, hey, I'm attacking you with a 1-3, you want to block him. Oh wait, he's a 5-3. Sorry. A lot of people aren't going to fall for the trick. They're just going to take the 1 damage or the 5 damage, which, I mean, I guess it's 5 damage, but still. So I don't play those. Volcanic Geyser, I absolutely and utterly hate this card because of this. The double red X, just in my mind, even though it's instant speed, I realize that it's instant speed. It's a single target spell that it will trade you 1 for 1. But it's double red and X. Blaze is just cheaper. But, I mean, if you're worried about hasty creatures, I'd play it, but I'm not. Act of Treason is good. It's nice because you can be used on your own creatures to give them haste the turn they come out. So if you have 8 mana, you can drop a Spellbound Dragon and then give it haste. But you don't have a good way of dealing with the creature once you gain control of it. Act of Treason is nice because you can take it, but I don't know if I'm going to play 2. I'm going to leave them in here for now, but I don't know if I'm playing 2. It might just be a one-of. Arc Lightning is a good way to make your card advantage a lot better. You can hit 1 creature, 2 creatures, 3 creatures, or all 3 at a player. Or 3 players, if you really wanted to, I guess. So, that's cool. You can just kind of go 1 card at a time. I leave the Arc Lightnings in there. They're a good way to deal with, like I said, a lot of things at one time. Breaking Point I'm going to play as a 2-of. It's a good way that when your opponent gets head to do a lot of damage, but at the same time I feel like there's a lot of situations where it's not going to help you. It's one of those cards that you really have to make your opponent think, do I want to take the 6 damage, or am I okay if my creatures die? It's one of those things where you really want to decide that. So for that, I might actually take out all 3 breaking points because it's a very tough call to make when it's a good idea to do it. It is a mass board wipe when you hit it correctly, but you have to be just as threatening as your opponent. So at the same time, I really don't feel like it's going to help you. Cerebral Vortex is target player draws 2 cards, then it deals damage to that player equal number of cards that they've drawn this turn. This was good back in the day when some owl, it was Owling Mine. Owling Mine was the deck, and it was around making your opponent draw cards and then punishing them for drawing cards with Cerebral Vortex. And there was another card that dealt damage equal to the number of cards in their hand, and Font of Mythos and things like that. It was a really fun, aggressive deck. But in something like this, giving your opponent the ability to draw 2 cards, just say, I'm going to tap out on turn 3, and I'm going to let you draw 3 cards, or draw 2 cards. You take 3 damage, though, my friend. You take 3. The only deck I can see it being good against is Jace, and still giving him card advantage just sounds terrible. Compulsive Research is an absolutely great card. It's absolutely necessary. Don't even think about taking this card out. Um, Electrolyze, the same thing can be said. Deal 2 damage divided how you choose. Instant speed, draw a card. So you go, I can kill your creature, I lose no advantage, or I can kill 2 1/1s and lose no advantage. You know, the only thing I lose is the mana I tapped out, and then you can probably do it during their opponent's turn, which is just great. Electrode. Electrode's amazing. Electrode is amazing. Definitely play Electrode. That combined with the Quicksilver Dagger is an absolutely wonderful combination. So, let's look at Invoke the Firemind. Draw X cards, or Invoke the Firemind deals X damage to target creature or player. What is this? This is bad. It's going to be 4 mana to draw 1 card, 5 mana to draw 2, 6 mana to draw 3, 7 mana to draw 4 cards. I would not pay 7 mana to draw 4 cards. 7 mana to do 4 damage to a creature or a player. No thank you. No thanks. Quicksilver Dagger. 3 mana, and it has tap this creature deals 1 damage to target player. You draw a card. Wonderful. This is a great, great card. It lets you keep advantage while pinging your opponent with little creatures like this guy or the Electrode. Now you go ping, I'll draw a card. Oh look, I drew an instant or sorcery. Let me hit you with that, and then untap the Electrode and ping you again for 1 and draw another card. I love the synergy with that, and it's not bad to be put on anything like it's not bad to be put on like the Wee Dragonauts or anything like that. So, you know, I like it. Schism Motivate. Target creature gets +4/+0 until end of turn. Another target creature gets -4/-0 until end of turn. I mean, it's a combat trick. If you're going the combat trick route, it's a good idea. But, again, this isn't the deck for combat tricks, in my opinion. Jester's Cap. Search your library for 3 cards and exile them. That player shuffles his or her library. Jester's Cap's cool. It gives you some advantage, but in this, there's so many different win conditions in all the other decks. I just don't think that that's necessary. 4 mana for a 4/1 with haste that does not have trample. Bad. Bad. He gets chump blocked by a 1/1 and dies. I would much rather have Hellspark Elemental or anything else, for that matter. Becomes the target of a spell or ability, return it to its owner's hand. 4 mana for a 3/3. That's basically, I have to cast this every turn, every time it becomes the target of a spell or ability. Nice thing is it can't be killed, essentially, but at the same time, it's annoying. Puka's Mischief. I like Puka's Mischief. It's a fun card. Beginning your upkeep, you exchange control of target non-land permanent you control and target non-land permanent opponent controls with equal or less converted mana cost. But what it usually ends up turning into is I'm going to trade you Puka's Mischief for this card, and then during their turn they're going to trade you Puka's Mischief for that card back, and you're just going to go back and forth until one of you draws a better card that costs a lot of mana to trade. Now, if you're playing the Puka's Mischief, you can play cards like the Pentrahydrox, because it's going to get targeted by the Puka's Mischief, and you're going to get control of their thing, and they're going to gain nothing, because it's going to get returned to your hand as soon as you target it. So if you wanted to go that route and be fun and tricky with Puka's Mischief, you could do that. Same thing with like cards like the Chrono Arch and things like that we're going to talk about in a minute that just aren't really great. You can do things like that with it. But again, like I tried to do with the Golgari deck, I mean, there's a fun deck in here somewhere that's just for trolling, that when you draw the 1 card, you're going to be like, hey, look, I drew my 1 Puka's Mischief. This is going to be a good game because I can just be a complete and utter asshole with my Hydroxus. But again, you can only grab things that are 4 or less mana. So, let's look at the Steam Core Weird. Enters the battlefield. If red was cast, it does 2 damage to target creature or player. I'm not really a fan of it. It has a very high mana cost for what it does. If you watch the games, I'm a huge fan of the Wand of Elements, simply because it turns your lands into creatures, which is great. You can cast it during your opponent's turn, make a 3/3 and attack with that 3/3 next turn. Or make a 2/2 and attack with it, or even make a 2/2 and put the Quicksilver Dagger on it. It's a lot of fun. Beacon of Destruction goes without saying. I'm playing this as an aggressive burn draw card deck. So, being able to pay 5 mana to do 5 damage, sounds good to me. Djinn of Wishes. Remove wish counter from Djinn of Wishes. Reveal a top card of the library. You reveal a card without paying its mana cost. If you do, exile it. Or if you don't, exile it. The thing with this is, it's good if you have a lot of ways to set up your deck. There are ways in here to set up the deck, but again, you're getting into cute, fun things and not necessarily good strategic things. So, I'm going to get rid of the Djinn of Wishes. I'll go through what he's decent with later, but let's go ahead and look at the Dominus of Fealty. This basically says it's get cast on turn 5 no matter what. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you gain control of target permanent until end of turn. If you do, untap it, it gains haste until end of turn. Now, one of the things I was talking about in my video that should work, but again doesn't in this, is the Wand of Elements. The Dominus' ability should go on the stack and not target anything. So, for those of you who don't know how the stack works, let me explain how the stack works real quick. So, because obviously this doesn't have quite as good of representation of the stack as I guess it really does, but let's go through this real quick. So I play a card, we'll say I play the Wand of Elements, and my opponent plays a Mana Leak, and I respond with a Mana Leak. The way the stack works is, now I actually have magic cards in front of me as I'm talking about this, so this is fun. My Mana Leak resolves first, targeting his Mana Leak. His Mana Leak gets countered unless he pays the 3 mana, and my spell resolves. Now if he pays the 3 mana, I now have to pay the 3 mana to counter his Mana Leak. If I don't, my spell doesn't resolve. So it goes from a top to bottom order, not necessarily the first spell that was cast. So, the way this would work in real Magic is Dominus' ability goes on the stack. Okay? Respond, sack a mountain, and it gains haste. Attack with the mountain during that turn. It doesn't work in the game, but obviously, you know, sometimes it's not going to. But you could go Wand of Elements during their turn, get a 3/3, and then during your turn, get a 3/3 and attack for 9, or attack for 10, rather than attacking for the 7 that you're going to end up having to attack with. Whether you do it during their turn and then still have a 3/3 back to block, I guess. But alright, so let's get the rest of these cards in here. And we're back here at the Chrono Arch. Okay, so Chrono Arch enters the battlefield. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Obviously, it's a lot of fun, but 5 mana for a 2/2? No, thank you. Prophetic Bolt deals 4 damage to target player. Look at the top 4 cards of the library. Put one of those in your hand, the rest of them bottom of your library in any order. It's 5 mana to keep. I mean, to pick a card out of the top 4, but I don't know. I don't know where these are yet. I don't think I'm going to play 3 of them. 2 might be an option, though. Spellbound Dragon is just, he's the shit. Put simply, he's the best card in the deck, and he's got blue glowing eyes that go all the way back to here. He's just awesome. He does a lot of really fun things, gets you to draw cards, and it's a good way to get rid of some of the higher mana cost cards that, you know, are just situational to cast. Like Tidings, like Time Warp. So, I play him. I think he's good. Tidings, 5 mana, draw 4 cards. See? That's what 4 cards should look like, not 7 mana. Especially with this only costing 2 blue. Not 2 blue and a red. Or, yeah, 2 blue and a red. Time Warp. Take an extra turn. Yes, I like Time Warps. Conquering Manticore. I think I'm only playing 1 of these, simply because you cannot target your own creatures, so you can't use him to target himself to give him haste. He's just a 5/5 body that hits the floor. It's nice to take things with him, but I don't really like him over that. Mind Rack Liege. You put a blue or red creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. That's really cool. He's really expensive, and you know, you can probably just pay the 4 mana no matter what, but that's an instant speed drop, as well as the fact that he gives all your creatures +1/+1. So I'm gonna play him. Niv Mizzet is fun. He can draw a lot of cards. He's real annoying. He's got a bit of a mana cost to him, but so does everything else that's good. But you could do a lot of really stupid things with him. Sphinx. Dwar Sphinx. I like Dwar Sphinx. I really do. Because he has this wonderful ability that says, look at the top card of your library and decide whether you want to continue playing this game or not. It's the, I'm going to peek and I'm going to lose this game. Let's scoot. It's a nice ability to have on cards. A lot more cards should have that ability. But he's not really fitting into my theme here, so. Sphinx and Magosi. The ability to draw cards and put +1/+1 counters on him makes him a big old scary bomb. But we're going to kind of have to like look at this when it's over. He might not stay in there. Thunder Dragon. Very few of your creatures have flying, and you're going to wipe the board with all of them. I don't think he's a good idea to play. Insurrection. Untap all creatures you control. They gain haste until end of turn. Oh, untap all creatures, not just ones you control, and gain control of them. They gain haste, but that's 8 mana. Obviously good against an aggressive deck if you survive that long, but at the same time, not going to play it. Living Inferno deals damage equal to its power divided how you choose among any number of target creatures. Each of those creatures deals damage to Living Inferno, or equal to its power of Living Inferno. So, he basically has 8 mana to kill himself and do some things like that. So I don't like that. So, we've got 5 too many cards. 5 too many cards. I don't think I'm going to play the Sphinx of Magosi now. We got the Mind Rack Liege. And just the ability to instantly drop creatures seems good to me. We have a lot of really high 5 cost things, so that's good. Our 3 costs are really, really high. We also play a lot of spells. So I think that's probably why I had the Act of Treasons out originally in the deck. I think I'm going to cut down 1 Arc Lightning. And what's bad? I'm not a huge fan of the Prophetic Bolt, but it's decent. I don't like the high mana cost though. I think it might just be one of in the deck. 10 5-drops is a lot. We have 13 cards that cost more than 5 to play. It's a lot. These are our only 4-drops. We have a lot of 3-drops. We really need to narrow down these 3-drops. They really should be spells, but see, I'm just not a fan of Act of Treason. I mean, it's nice, but there's a lot of times it's just going to win you a game because your opponent's stupid, but there's a lot of times where you're going to need to cast it turn 4 and then get hit by the creature again on turn 5 anyway. You know, it doesn't really save you any damage, it just gets you in for damage. That's one of the cards I'd get rid of, simply because there's not a ton of instants in the deck, so it's kind of hard to play with him, and very rarely are you casting multiple spells than the turn. See, that might be the right call. No 1-drops. 2-drops look real solid. 3-drops Act of Treason. See if there's anything over in here that I would want to have in the deck. I like the Arc Lightning. I like the breaking points to an extent. I do like the Dragonauts just because we don't really have that many creatures. I don't really want to get rid of that many. I would like to keep a 35-65 ratio. I think that's a good. It would obviously be more if I take out a sorcery. No. I don't want to take out anything that gives us a huge advantage, though. I think one of Act of Treason might be what I want. I know it seems weird, But that with the Conquering Manticore gives me 2 ways to take a creature that I need, and that way it doesn't show up early when I don't need it. You know, it'll just be the I'm going to show up late game when you could use me. You know, when they have the big scary creature out, and you're like, I'm going to take your Demigod of Revenge and attack you with it. Or I'm going to take your Legion and attack you with it. I like it. The breaking points are, again, an iffy card. This should not be in the deck no matter what. This should be completely gone. These guys are worthless. Again, if you're playing the Puka's Mischief combo, there's your combo right there. These 4 cards. Hopefully you draw those 4 cards if you want to play Puka's Mischief. These guys are eh. How many do we have? We have 1 Prophetic Bolt. Yeah, that's good. I like that. I like that number. We have 1 Conquering Manticore. Yeah, it looks good. Looks good. I like it. So let's go through the deck. 4 Terramorphic Expanses, 3 Mana Leaks, 2 Razorfin Hunters, 1 Reverberate, 1 Treason, 2 Arc Lightnings, 3 Compulsive Research, 2 Electrolyze, 1 Electrode, 2 Quicksilver Daggers, 3 War Dragonauts, 2 Wand of the Elements, 1 Beacon of Destruction, 2 Dominus, 1 Prophetic Bolt, 3 Spellbound Dragons, 1 Tidings, 2 Time Warps, a Conquering Manticore, a Mind Wreck Liege, and a Niv-Mizzet the Firemind. So guys, if you enjoyed watching this, or any of the videos in the expansion, if you could leave a like, helps out the video, or helps out the channel a lot, because obviously I've been getting a lot of new subscribers. Recently, I think I've probably got almost 20 in the past week, which means my videos are starting to go and be seen a little bit more, which is wonderful, because obviously it helps out with the charities that I'm donating to. So that's awesome, guys. Keep up the great work. Let me know what you think about the deck, if there's anything that you would play differently. I mean, obviously there's different ways to play the deck. So, you know, let me know what you think of it. Let me know if there's any changes you'd make. And again, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.